Elaine Jones, you're the CEO of a property management company. You've been in the region since 1980, and you've seen everything going up, and now recently things have started going down. How are you handling that?
Well, interestingly, over the past 30 years, we've seen lots of goings up and coming down. Now, historically, a lot of the incidents or events, worldwide events that have affected us, of course, have not happened here, and we have generally benefited by things that have happened externally. This is the first time that we have seen such a rapid growth in property prices and amount of property being built, and naturally such a huge decline because it's a relative situation. However, candidly, it was probably quite a good thing to have had this sudden stop, this go on hold. Everybody's had to stop and reevaluate what they're doing, because at least now we can take stock of what we have, and many of the master developers have. They're consolidating stock, they're reviewing what they're building. Properties that haven't been started perhaps won't be started for some considerable time, which actually is a very good thing. So now we're all looking at what we have, the developers are reviewing what they've started, and to decide whether they actually should be completing with that project or consolidating and moving buyers across to others.
We know that there have been considerable layoffs of people working for some real estate companies. Has that kind of thing affected your company as well, or?
I think it's fair to say that the number, the speed at which and the size at which the real estate business grew was so dramatic over the past, if we say that October 2008 was really the end date, that from early 2007 to October 2008, the influx of people in the real estate industry and developers was just huge. And sadly for those people who will have moved from possibly very comfortable or long-term employment to come here, they have primarily been the victims, so that's not a very nice word, but a lot of the new people have left very quickly. We're very fortunate insofar as property management has always been our core business. So we were in business before selling was possible, so naturally we're able to adjust and continue with the model of property management as the core business, and from that everything else that comes around it. Yes, we have reduced the numbers. No, we didn't need as many salespeople as we had engaged, and when you don't need as many salespeople, you don't need as many administrative support and everything else that goes behind. Yes, we did have to, very unfortunately, have to reduce our numbers.
With your experience in ups and downs in the past, what's your prognosis when, and I think most people don't expect sort of the crazy heady days to return very quickly, if ever, but when do you think that the market here would be normalized?
Candidly, I hope we never see what we saw, because I think we all lost our way. It was not a good way to be living. People forgot to do things properly at the speed at which things were being done. So let's hope it never even mirrors anything like it was before. We are already seeing a stabilisation in the rents. We saw quite a dramatic downturn in certain sectors on the residential and certain sectors on the commercial property. But already we're seeing that has settled now. We're not seeing rents go down anymore. And in fact, the properties we manage, we're still enjoying very high occupancy rates, so I'm not overly concerned there. It will take at least another year, I would think, before we see an upturn in business, but we are seeing a gradual improvement on sales, which we didn't have before. I mean, candidly, since October 2008, the number of sales was so minimal as you almost wouldn't bother reporting it. Now they've started again. But it'll be some time before we see a real plateau, or not plateau, a growth in the sales, and it will depend on the properties being finished, because nobody's buying off plan now. They buy completed property they can walk into, see if they like it and see if the price is right, which is good, it's healthy.
It's quite amazing. When I came here 4 years ago and I went to a Cityscape, I think it was here but could have been elsewhere, I was just amazed to see those mock-ups and those plans, and there were never photographs, there were only renderings of future projects, some of which never came to be.
No, and I think it's interesting to see how many people from other countries came here, took pleasure in getting everybody excited by what we could do, and now all of a sudden they've all disappeared again. So I think we're much better to consolidate. Those of us that know the region will carry on working. If you don't work for it, you don't get it, and nothing, it's just not worth having something you haven't worked hard for. So that's what we have to do. We have to behave like proper people.
Are there places already in Dubai where you can see model apartments?
See, model apartment, do you mean where you can go and see a show apartment where it is completed?
Exactly.
Very much the in trend, and the only way forward. So people have to see what it is they're going to buy. And I think because the mortgages have been so slow in being available, that people who did have the funds or a desire to buy are taking absolute benefit of being able to do proper due diligence and seeing what it is they want to buy before they make the decision.
You mentioned that sales have begun now. First of all, we mean residential sales? Or?
End users.
Yeah. Okay. And who is buying? I mean, are those locals or who?
It's very interesting because different projects have attracted a different persona or a different demographic. So you'll have your expatriates who are buying because they've been here long term and will generally choose perhaps a house or something that's very much a family property. But also with the young professionals buying because they'll then, when they leave here, lease the property out. So they're going to use it for while they do their 2 years or 3 years here before they move on and then rent it out. So a mixture of investment and end user. And other people from Gulf countries, from the region, buying a property here instead of relying on hotels when they bring their families to visit. And that's a healthy trend.
Great. You're involved also in several other Gulf countries and in Jordan, which is not exactly Gulf, but close by. What is the appeal of Jordan?
Jordan, we were invited to go expressly for a project, which we enjoyed doing the project enormously, and we established the office there. The team are very good, but the business in Jordan is very Jordan-centric. We sell to Jordanians who live in Jordan. It's very much a local to Jordan business. Although when we've sold in Akbar and also Dead Sea projects, those of course do take Jordanians who are expatriate look at buying a property there. So Jordan's a bit special, and it's a lovely country too, and it has all that history and everything else. We can go and have a bit of culture.